All right, let's get to work. This is going to be the question here that I'm going to work on first for the video. This is a binomial times a binomial. I'm going to use the color red for the first step. So 3x, so it's this binomial times this binomial. So everything over here is going to multiply with everything over here. So it's going to be 3x times 4x, and that's going to give us 12x squared. Because 3 times 4 is 12, and x times x can also be written as x squared. Then we have the 3x times the 5, and that's going to give us 15 x's. All right? So that's the first step in red. Then blue is going to be the second step, which is 2, a positive 2, times everything else. So 2 times 4, that gives me a positive 8x. And 2 times 5, that gives me a 10. The third step is combining like terms. So we're looking for things that have the same exact variable and the same exact exponents. So anything that says x squared, no. So it comes down. So we're consolidating this. 12x squared. Then 15x. So I see anything with an x. Yeah, I see an 8x. So 15x plus 8x, that's going to give us 23x. So plus 23x, and then plus 10. And that's your final answer. Okay? Now, I think that is it for this question. Now let's go to the next one. So we'll start with green on the first step in this one. Okay, here we go, right there. All right, so now it is a binomial times a trinomial. Same thing. Everything in here is going to multiply everything that's in here. So we're going to try with green first. So 2x is going to multiply with everything in here. So 2x times, it should be 3x squared. Let me fix that problem before we start. Okay. So 2x times 3x squared is going to be 6x to the third. Then 2x times 5x is going to make a positive 10x squared. Then 2x times negative 2 is going to make negative 4x. Okay? Now the second step is going to be in purple. It's going to be a negative 1. Because I'm multiplying it, I'm looking at it as a negative 1. So negative 1 times 3, that's 3x squared, is going to make a negative 3x squared. A negative times a positive 5x is going to be negative 5x. And a negative times a negative 2 is going to be a positive 2. Remember that the multiplying rules are if the signs are the same, they're multiplying. If they're different, if they're the same, it's positive. If they're different, it's negative. Okay? So that's the first two steps. Just multiplying one at a time. Not a big deal. And then I'll do an orange, the third step, which is consolidating this. You see how I see squared, more than 1 squared, more than 1x? That's not consolidated. We have to consolidate it. So x to the third. Do I see anything that's x to the third or greater? No. So I'm just going to drop that down. 6x to the third. I use that. Then we're looking for anything that's x squared. Okay, I have 10x squared, and I have a minus 3x squared. So 10 minus 3. So to shrink that, how could I represent that with one number? 10 minus 3, I'll represent with just positive 7x, because that's the same thing as 10 minus 3. Okay, so that one's gone and that one's gone. Then I have a negative 4 and a negative 5. Now remember the rule. You're going to write it over here. Whichever number is furthest from the x, you're going to write on the top, okay? So the 5 is further from 0, further from 0. So that goes on the top. Whatever the top number is, repeats here. So this sign is going to repeat at the bottom. And then the signs are the same, so these numbers add, so it's going to make a negative 9. So I know that I have, looking at this one and that one, I have negative 9x. Okay? These two are what I just did. I'm scratching them out. This is the last one. I bring it down, plus 2. I have one thing to the third power, one thing to the second power, one thing with nothing, and a constant. So there's only one of each. I've consolidated it appropriately. Okay? Sometimes things will cancel out and you won't have this, but there it is, final answer. Next one is over here. All right, so this is a trinomial times a trinomial. Give yourself some space on this, okay? So we'll start with red for the first step, which is 5x squared times everything over here. Okay, so 5x squared times negative 4x squared is going to make negative 20x to the 4th power, because the exponents are going to add. Then 5x squared times 2x is going to give us positive 10x to the 3rd. Then 5x squared times negative 3 is going to give us negative 15x squared. So that's 5x squared times every single one of these things. So you end up with 3 results. The next thing is going to be in blue. That's going to be this one, negative 3x. So negative 3x times all of these things. So negative 3x times the negative 4x squared is going to give me positive, because it's a negative times a negative, it's going to give positive 12x to the 3rd. Then negative 3x times 2x is going to give me negative 6x squared. Negative 3x times negative 3 is going to give me positive 9x. Okay? I know what you're thinking, Mr. Cassius, you're going to run out of space. Hopefully I don't, because I honestly can't move it anymore to the right. So I'll write slightly smaller. The next color is green for the next step. So now it's just 2 times everything over here. So it's going to be negative 8x squared. It's going to be positive 4x. And it's going to be negative 6. Totally fit, okay? Now with my new camera, this might look like it's, slightly like this, but that's fine. It's working. All right. Now, our next step, which is going to be in purple, is to consolidate this. I see multiple 3s, multiple 2s, multiple x's by itself, constant. Okay, so we'll start with the biggest power, which is the 4, and we're dropping it down because there's no other exponent with the 4. So negative 20x4. That's how many x4s I have. I have negative 20 of them. Then x to the 3rd, so let's see how many we got of those. So I already dealt with this. X to the 3rd, x to the 3rd. I only have it twice. So I have 10 of them and I have 12 of them. So this is going to be easy. I have a total of 22x to the 3rd. So that's gone and that's gone. Now I have x squareds to look at. So let's look at a negative 15x squared, a negative 6x squared, and a negative 8x squared. Oh, super fun, right? So let's do with these two first. So it's a negative 15 and a negative 6. So negative 15 I'm going to put on top because it's the number furthest from 0. Negative 6 underneath. The top and the bottom repeat the sign, and the signs are the same, so these are going to add and make a 21. Okay, so now I've used up this one and that one, okay, and I'm left with a negative 21, and now I have to do with that one. So negative 8 is closer, so that stays in the bottom. Again, the top sign repeats in the bottom, and the signs are the same, so these are going to add and make negative 29. So how many x squareds do I have? Negative 29x squareds is how much I have. Now I'm dealing with 9x plus 4x. That's pretty simple. That's going to be 13x. And minus 6 is at the end. A lot of steps, but every step was just adding, subtracting, multiplying. Pretty simple, just straightforward left to right every single time. Knowing how to multiply a monomial with a polynomial is what you need, and how you combine like terms, which we've gone over already 3 different times. The next section goes on these. So, okay, this is the same lesson, but there is a shortcut once you've done enough of these and you've noticed it. But in reality, remember that squared means this times itself, okay? So if you write it like that, so that, I know it said squared, but we're gonna write it in, okay? Here's the other one, 3x plus 2. So this times itself is the same thing as writing this squared. So now we just follow the same rule we just did, okay? So now it's just 3x times everything over here, which is gonna give me 9x squared plus 6x. Then the next one's going to be 2 times everything here. So it's going to be 6x plus 4. All right? we're going to combine like terms using purple here. Combine like terms. There's no other x squared, so 9x squared stays here. This makes 12x, and this makes 4. Okay? There is a shortcut, but it's only for the things that are being squared. Okay? At least you know when you're squaring it, everything's going to be positive all the way through, because everything will be positive. If everything's positive in here and you're squaring it, everything will end up positive here, and everything will end up positive in the answer. Okay, so that was pretty simple in comparison to what we just did. And the next one's the same thing. These are called special properties. Now this one is 4x minus 2 squared, so there are going to be some minuses. I'm going to change the color here so you know the first step was to do that. Let's do it with orange. So now it's going to be 4x minus 2. Okay, so 4x minus 2 squared is 4x minus 2 times itself, which is 4x minus 2. So let's do the actual steps now. It's going to be 4x times everything over here, which is going to make 16x squared and negative 8x. Okay, then the next one is going to be in blue. It's going to be negative 2 times all this is going to make negative 8x plus 4, because negative 2 times negative 2 will make positive 4. Now we're going to combine like terms, and that's going to make 16x squared minus 16x plus 4. And we're done. That is the final answer. All right, I think we have one more. This is also a special property because you'll see some canceling happen. Okay? Here we go. We'll start on red for this one. So there's no squared or anything, so you're already done. So negative 3 times everything over here. You're going to get 9x squared. Negative 3 times this one is going to make positive 6x. Okay, if you haven't noticed, everything is exactly the same except for the sign in the center. That's the only thing that's changed. And this will happen every single time that this is the occurrence. So now it's going to be 2 times everything on the right. So it's going to be 2 times negative 3x. That's going to make negative 6x. That's going to make a negative 4. Okay, so when you consolidate this, this will make 9x squared. This will cancel because 6 minus 6 is 0. Okay? So that's going to be 0. So that you don't even write it. They're gone. And then minus 4. And we're done. That's everything we covered this week.